cherished listeners, it's always super exciting to come your way every Wednesday with your favorite business development program on Radio Masterclass. Masterclass is powered by Joy Business and brought to us by Goyle. Goyle, they say good energy. Goyle, Yenara, Yedia. Masterclass is also brought to us by First Code Management Services. They say industry, get it right. We're excited to bring you yet another edition of your favorite business development program on Radio Masterclass. In the last couple of weeks, we've been having a conversation on facilities management, the various aspects and dimensions of looking at it, the fact that it's a science, the fact that it's critical to our businesses and our bottom lines and our profit. And today we continue in that conversation. I'm excited again to be joined here in that conversation by a person I've come to know as a friend in all of these conversations, someone who's well renowned in the conversation of facilities management, and also the president of IFMA. He's been with us here in the studio in the person of Kweku Sampson Opare-Agyemang. Kweku, you're welcome back to this conversation. This is week 4, isn't it?
Yes, this is
week 4 of the conversation,
yeah,
and I hope that our listeners and our viewers are picking up a few tidbits, in this conversation. Last week we spent some time talking about health and safety. And we had Yusuf here with us in the conversation. Yusuf, good afternoon to you if you're listening to us. Yeah. Today he's unable to be here with us, but we continue into another very sort of important area of the conversation, if you like. Sure. And it's one area that cannot be exhausted in one conversation.
Not at all.
It's huge, it's big, it feeds into all other areas of our business, and that's the area of emergency preparedness and business continuity. Business continuity. That, as I prepared for the show, the thought of it alone sort of made me wonder which angle we're going to have this conversation today. Exactly. But again, it's in the context of facilities management. So let's try and sort of bring some perspective for our listeners. Maybe a quick recap of the conversation last week, and then let's sort of go into business continuity, emergency preparedness, and sort of lay it out for our customers.
Sure. Thank you so much, Yaw. And once again, a good afternoon to our listeners, and good afternoon especially to the IFMA Ghana chapter members across the nation. Yeah, they always join in here and they give us their feedback, and it's helping us so much. And therefore, I would not say a very big thank you to all of them. Once again. Yes, like you rightly said, today's topic is very broad, but we're going to try and touch on some key areas, salient points that will help facilities managers and business owners as well. But last week, indeed, we spent some time discussing health and safety. And we came to know that health and safety is an aspect of facilities management. And the facilities manager ensures the functionality of the built environment. And the process of doing that entails, making sure that the workers working at the workspace are working safely and they are healthy. And this too will help them to work productively. And we came to understand that this area of health and safety is not only the work of the facilities manager, but then is the work of the facilities manager as well as the employees or the workers or the people coming to the space to do business with owners of business.
I mean, I recall from that conversation 2 very significant points of the conversation, which was, the fact that on the health side, if the ergonomics of a working space was not properly managed by a facility manager, it could lead to health problems for staff. And when I say ergonomics, I'm talking about ventilation, lighting, spacing, the furniture, and all of that. And then there was also the extreme side, which was the facilities, that if proper care was not taken to maintain and be preventive about some of the things that we work with, i.e. power, i.e. alternative power, fuel, and all of that, there could be explosions, there could be downtimes. So both in the tangible and the intangible, there were very strong points. Before we go into today's conversation, though, if you're a company, you're listening to us, you don't have a facility manager, we're encouraging you to go get one. But if you're a company who needs advice to set up, here's some brilliant news for you. First Code Management Services, they have some wonderful news for you. And so in these times of increasing uncertainties, firms are compelled to seek tailor-made solutions to reduce their risk and grow their businesses. For startup investors, SMEs, and business owners, First Code Management Services provide advisory and facilitation support for company formation and business setup, for corporate secretarial and business compliance, for accounting, for research and market entry, for training and capacity building. And so First Code Management Services are always your first point of call for any of these management support services. Talk to us today or call us on 0302 297 2263 or 0302 297 2264. Locate us at 60A Westlands Boulevard, West Legon, or visit us at www.firstcodelimited.com. First Code Management Services, they say industry. Get it right. Emergency procedures, business continuity.
Sure.
Downtimes is what comes to my mind.
Exactly.
But talk to us for the next couple of minutes. We get interactive at some point, and then we ask a few questions.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you very much, Yaw. Yeah, the topic of emergency preparedness and business continuity is always bundled together in one bag. And it is very broad area that we want to discuss today. The mistake that companies do or businesses do is to put the two together. And because it's so broad, when I was preparing the slides, and because our time is very limited, I was kind of, confused which area actually to touch. But then I thought we could look at it and the two areas, emergency preparedness and business continuity. Look at the differences, look at where they overlap sort of, and also look at the benefits and consequences if we don't have emergency preparedness team in our businesses, and if we don't have business continuity teams in our businesses. Yeah. So we are looking at it from the perspective of the facilities manager. And like we always say, the facilities manager is responsible and is to ensure the continuity of the business. And our main focus has to do with the operations of the business to ensure the success of the business. And therefore, emergency preparedness, which for sure nobody can predict it, but you know that it will come one day. And business continuity, another key area. We don't want our business to shut down one day because of an emergency or hazard or a disaster. And therefore, it's very important that we prepare towards it. This makes emergency preparedness and business continuity very, very important areas in our businesses. And it is very, very important that our business operations, our companies, ensures that they have teams who are trained, who are prepared for emergencies, and teams who are trained and prepared for the continuity of businesses if there are any disaster happening or any emergency happening. So, yeah, like I said, I want us to look at the key differences, quite a number, but I've just put on one or two that I want us to look at it, and then also to looking at it will explain or bring to light the importance of these areas. And the first one I want to look at is the main goal of emergency management and the main goal of business continuity. Emergency management seeks to safeguard people from harm, while business continuity is focused on the continuity of key business operations. IFMA will tell you essential functions of the business. So when we talk about emergency preparedness or emergency management, we are focusing on safeguarding the people that work in the built environment from harm. On the other hand, when we talk about business continuity, we are actually discussing how we can ensure that the business continues its operation when there is what? Crisis. So, in fact, there are two different areas that we are discussing here. Emergency management are the actions taken immediately after the crisis. So we have crisis, we can't predict it. It can be flood, it can be fire, it can be earthquake, even terrorism. I mean, it's referred to as crisis. We don't know when they are coming, but for sure, one day they will come. We are here, and boom, Corona came. Nobody has prepared for it. But I can tell you that businesses that have teams for emergency preparedness and businesses that consciously has placed people and trained people for business continuity, although will be affected, they'll be able to mitigate the effect very well. Not 100%, but they'll be able to mitigate the effect. They'll be able to continue their business because there is a preparation, there is a plan towards how to fight this crisis when they come. Business continuity takes steps to maintain or restore the organization's to its pre-crisis state. So, for instance, if there's flood, okay, and Joy FM, your officers is is covered with water. You know, you'll not be able to work for some time. But what is the essential function of Joy FM? Maybe to make sure that you are giving the public up to date news, what is going on in the country. Okay, you will want to be on air, informing people, educating people, and let people know what is going on in the country, even giving safety. Okay, now if there's no plan for Joy FM to be able, let's say if the ground floor is covered with water, and you don't have any plan, to even dewater the floor, it's going to, people are not will not be able to come into the space to work, and that may shut down, the operations of Joy FM. Why? Because you didn't have any plan. But if you have emergency plan, okay, you'll be able to mitigate the effect such that you'll be able to at least make sure that your essential business function will continue while the other stuff is taken care of. In emergency preparedness, there are 4 key areas, or there are 4 phases that you can look at. The first one has to be the mitigate, aspect. The mitigation aspect has to be the prevention aspect of it. For instance, when we sit in our car, nobody tells us, but we put on our seatbelts. Why? I hope your car is very comfortable and safe. But why do you put on your seatbelt? Because you can presume that along the line anything could happen. But if you are in your seatbelt, at least you will not be thrown out of your car and crash to death. Exactly. That is mitigation. That is prevention. But after you have done that as a driver, driving on the highway, maybe on the motorway, your tire can burst. Now, what knowledge do you have in terms of, in the crisis, what precautions to take, what actions to take so that you don't kill yourself? It's very important. Most of us don't know anything. Some people, okay, when you are driving at a speed of 100 kilometers per hour or 80 kilometers and your tire bursts, what do you do first? Do you press the brakes? Do you jump out of the car, or do you drive into a tree or a light post alongside the road? Very, very important. Bringing it to the built environment. Let's say there's a fire outbreak, okay, in your building space. What are the plans that you have put in place? What communication, what education, what drills have you given to your employees, your workers, the people in the built environment, to be able to be evacuated safely and not killing themselves? Let's say you have an office building, 30 floors or 20 floors. When the fire starts from the bottom and it's going up and the smoke running through to the last floor, those are the last floor. But mostly is the board of directors, is the CEOs who enjoy up there. Do they become confused and want to jump through the window? What are the first measures? They are supposed to be taken. Do they go to the balcony to be safe? Do they run through the elevator, or they run through the stairway? These are things that the facilities manager is responsible for. Is responsible for training, and that is the next stage, preparing for emergency occurrences. You take actions ahead of time and make plans, like evacuation plans. You do drills. You do training. For your people. You have a clear communication line. That if in case of any emergency, who are the people to contact? What to do? Where are the emergency exits? I go to a lot of built environment, and you see the emergency exit is packed with boxes. I ask myself, what is the purpose of that? Do we understand why we put the sign there, emergency escape? It tells you something, that there's something lacking in the company. I'll go ahead to talk about consequences. Now, consequences. But before I talk about consequences, the business continuities ensures also the protection of business reputation. Okay, the reputation of the business is to maintain and restore IT system and ensure employees return to their daily work after a crisis have occurred. So, in an architectural firm, um, your essential business function may be your designs, okay, your drawings on your laptop. Yeah, anything can happen in your workspace. Let's say if there's fire and all your laptops, your computers are bent. What backup plan do you have? Will you be able to access your data elsewhere? Very important. So, what kind of technology are we using? Soft systems are we using? That if you lose your data in your office, you can access it somewhere else. It's very important. Yeah, this is the importance of business continuity teams creation in our workspaces. So let's look at a little consequences because of our time. So that what are the consequences if we don't have business emergency preparedness team in our workspaces, and if we don't have business continuity teams in our workspaces? One of it is injury, mental or physical. Because if there's a disaster, if there's fire, and people are not trained, people don't know what to do, they take actions that ends them in injury. It can cause diseases if we don't have a clear-cut way of, salvaging the situations. It can break down security. It can damage the infrastructure. It can break down the essential services, which is very key. The essential services of the business. And if the essential services are broken down, then the business has shut because you cannot continue to do business. It's loss of property, and it also causes loss of what? Income. These are some of the consequences that the absence of emergency preparedness and business continuity in our business or workspaces can cause the business. So someone will ask, so what are the benefits of having people, a team, paying them? They are sitting there, there's no disaster, there's no hazard, you are paying them for nothing is coming for 1 year, 2 years. Nothing is coming. Why are you paying them? Yeah, it's very, very important. You see, until the disaster occurs, you will realize that paying them for maybe 4 years or 10 years, the damage that will cause to the business is more than the money that you are going to pay these people who are there to ensure that your business is safe and your business can continue after a crisis. The main thing, the key thing, which is above everything, is lives. Okay, so it saves lives. These teams help the business, and it helps the business to save the life of the people working in the space. It makes the organization more proactive. Yeah, because we are talking about disasters which are natural. Nobody knows what God will do the next minute. Yeah, our ways are not God's ways, and He can decide to do anything at any time. Even with our sophisticated technology, we are able to sometimes predict that it's going to rain at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, but sometimes it can boom and nobody knows. Yeah, that's why it's important. And therefore, one of the benefits is that it's going to make the company more proactive, and it's going to enhance clients' confidence. Yeah, your clients are going to have confidence in you, so that if they are keeping their staff with you, if you are a financial institution like you are, okay, your clients are going to have confidence in you, because after crisis, maybe fire crisis, you are not going to tell them that, Charlie, we can't trace your data, so we don't know how much you are keeping with us. Very serious. Chaotic, my brother. Yeah, and it minimizes business revenue losses, and finally, it protects the assets of the business from destruction. Yes.
Kweku, as you speak, so many things come to my mind, and we'll be getting interactive shortly so that our listeners can also be a part of it. But one thing comes to my mind, and it is the fact that business continuity or emergency preparedness, whichever way you look at it, is not something that is only restricted to one context. in this case, the context of facilities management. It's actually every sphere of our lives. Except that today we're having the conversation in the context of facilities management. Now, there's a statement I once heard. I'm not sure who said it, but I give all credit to who said it. It says the greatest thing about history is that men never learn from history. You know, one of the things that doesn't stop is change, and change can be positive or negative. And so, for all intents and purposes, whether it's your reputation, whether it's your business, whatever it is, it's absolutely important to anticipate a situation where things do not go as planned. This is going to get exciting because I have a few questions myself, but I'm sure that our listeners also have a few more questions. We just want to take a quick message from our sponsors, and then when we come back, we open the phone line straight away. Today I have a few more minutes, so I'm going to open the phone lines a bit early so that our listeners can also be a part of it, and we get interactive, and I'll ask all the questions. Because one of the things that you talked about was emergency preparedness and business continuity. Now, for me, I see what the connect is in my mind, in my mind's eye. But perhaps we could just share a few thoughts on that, just while we wait for the phone lines ring. But for now, let's just take a quick message from our sponsors. We continue right after this.
In these moments of increasing uncertainties, firms are compelled to seek tailored solutions to reduce risk and grow their businesses. For startup investors, SMEs and business owners, First Code Management Services provides advisory and facilitation support for company formation and business setup, corporate secretarial and business compliance, accounting, research and market entry, as well as training and capacity building. First Code Management Services is your first point of call for your management support services. Talk to us today. Call us on 0302-297-2263 or 0302-297-2264. Locate us at 60A Westlands Boulevard, West Legon, or visit firstcodelimited.com for more. Industry. Get it right. Your favorite on-air business development program, Joy Business Masterclass, is in session, and you can interact with us on Facebook via the Joy 99.7 FM or Joy Business pages. If you tweet, the handle is at Joy 997 FM or at Joy Business GH. Don't forget to hashtag JB Masterclass. You can also call us on 0302-216541 or send your questions and contributions through to the WhatsApp number 0551 111997, and our facilitators will address your concerns. Attention everyone, class is in progress.
Welcome back. If you've just tuned in, this is Masterclass, and we're here continuing the conversation on facilities management with Kweku Sampson Opare-Agyemang. So if you have any motor vehicle of any kind, here's some great news for you from GOIL. Going cashless has never been this convenient and exciting. GOIL's e-payment systems are now compatible with the GH Link and the national payment platforms. Now you can use your GH Link card on GOIL's POS machines to purchase fuel. GH Link cards offer additional payment options for fuel purchases at GOIL stations in addition to the Go card. All fuel purchased is recorded automatically on your monthly bank statement, helping cardholders track and manage their expenses. So go ahead and use your GH Link card to buy fuel and all lubricants from any of GOIL's over 400 stations across Ghana. Go cashless and protect yourself, and stick to all the COVID-19 protocols in these times. GOIL, they say good energy, GOIL. Yenara Yedia. If you've also got any company and you need help setting up, help with your accounting, help with managing your company, help with filing your taxes, First Code Management Services also have some brilliant news for you. And so in these times of increasing uncertainties, firms are compelled to seek tailor-made solutions to reduce their risk and grow their businesses. For startup investors, SMEs, and business owners, First Code Management Services provide advisory and facilitation support for company formation and business setup, corporate secretarial and business compliance, accounting, research and market entry, training and capacity building. First Code Management Services are your first point of call for all your management services. Talk to us today or call us on 0302-297-2263 or 0302-297-2264. Locate us at 60A Westlands Boulevard, West Legon, or visit us at www.firstcodelimited.com. First Code Management Services, they say industry. Get it right. Phone lines are now open. Numbers to call 0302-216-541. That's 216-541. You can also send us your comments on 055-1111-997. Phone lines are now open. We're interactive. Today we're talking about business continuity, and emergency preparedness. Kweku, as you spoke, while we wait for the phone lines to ring,
Yeah.
one of the things that came to my mind was the direct connect between business preparedness or business continuity and emergency procedures.
Exactly.
Emergencies are things that happen without notice.
Exactly.
But because men never learn from history and change is imminent, we know from people's experiences in the past
Exactly.
that there are certain things that by trend analysis has a high probability of occurring in a given context. So that when you have a computer system, a platform, a software, a server, there's a high probability that that system, that equipment is going to shut down someday, is going to fail unannounced. If you're using power to power any of your equipment, there's a high probability that the source of that power is going to fail, which is why we have alternative source of power. So you have your grid power, in this case ECG, gridco. Then you have generators. Today there are renewable sources of energy, solar, and all of that. That's why we have all of these levels of power. Now, let's sort of give a specific example. Let's talk about the emergency of fire.
Yeah.
It's not only putting out the fire, but it's also preparing. And I remember you talked about teams.
Yeah.
Preparing teams that are responsible. In this case, let's say the FM team.
Exactly.
But let's also dwell on the need for the users of the building.
The users of the building.
To be prepared both by training, both mentally, both how to conduct themselves in a situation of an emergency. While you talk about that, drill down also for me into the things that a company can put in place, i.e. emergency assembly points, emergency signs, emergency lighting, and all of that, as part of the awareness creation for the users of any facility. Share some thoughts with me on that.
Wonderful. So yeah, the connection is here. You see, the emergency preparedness, like you said, is anticipating or its management system is put in place for crisis. I mean, crisis which you can predict. Yeah. So because you are prepared and you have a plan for it, when it occurs, you are able to mitigate it. Now, but after the crisis, okay, something happens to your business, like you mentioned. I mean, your whatever system that you have to keep your data to run, your whatever technology system that you have will be affected if it is fire, okay, and you cannot retrieve your information easily from this bent, equipment. Yeah. Now, how do you bring your employees back to business? That's why it's important that we have the business continuity team also.
I mean, even before you go into the effect of some of these things on the company, I'm even looking at during the emergency.
Yeah.
You see, the reason I talk about preparing staff and giving them information and making them aware is that on the back of the conversation last week about health and safety, you could create more incidents within an emergency situation because of panic.
Or the panic, yeah.
And I want us to harp a bit more on that. I mean, if you're listening to us, please pick up that phone. Give us a call, 03022165541, or send us a comment on 055-1111-997. We're here talking about facilities management, and we're dwelling down on emergency preparedness and business continuity. I think I have a comment from Francis. Francis said, "Good afternoon, yeah. Your topic is so crucial, yet not so many companies pay the needed attention to it. I liken it to the spare tire on your car. You may not use it for years, but if you don't make sure it's always inflated, the day you need it urgently, it will be out of order." That's Francis. Francis, thank you so much for that comment. But he couldn't have put it better. Exactly. He couldn't have put it better. The day you need it, it may not be available. So we're talking about, on the back of the health and safety conversation, why it's important for information to be available. To reduce the panic within situations like that. Yes.
So yeah, you see, when we refer to the workers, okay, who are always at the space, the emergency preparedness team are able to do training, they are able to do drills. But like you mentioned, those who come to use the space, how do we communicate to them? How do we give them information that in case you are in this space and something happened, there's fire, what to do? That's why communication is very, very important. You go to some space and right there at the reception area, when you come in, you see the evacuation plan pasted there boldly. Okay, you can read it. You see the extinguishers right there, not hiding behind somebody's table. Okay, these are things that need to be placed clearly, and the communication line should be made very clearly. You understand? So those coming to the space will be able to read, and in case of any disaster, can easily will not panic, like you mentioned, because the moment you panic, then they become more disastrous than even the disaster.
You become a danger to other users as well.
Exactly, and you become danger to other users. Yeah. So, like the example that I cited. So, if there's earthquake, okay, your building is coming down. What do you do first? You jump out of the window. What do you do first? Or you go under a table, or where do you go to? That is where the education becomes very important. So you are right on point.
You know, and as we talk about this, let's just share some information also for some of our listeners. Yeah. If you are managing a facility, it's absolutely important to have, if the space constraint allows you. See, the thing is, it's not if the space constraint allows you. You are supposed to have it. But we are mindful that sometimes our space constraints prevent us.
Exactly.
But in a facility, whether you are the FM there or you are the GM there should be an emergency assembly point. Yeah. It means that this is the place where you tell all your staff that if something goes wrong in this building, everybody congregate in this space. Yes. The reason you assemble is also so that you can account for the people, so that if Kwesi is missing, somebody will say, I saw Kwesi this morning. He came in, and he was drinking a glass of water just before this happened. Where is Kwesi? Then we start to find Kwesi so that the rescue workers who are there can also help.
Great point.
Still talking about the awareness. First aid. Fire marshals and first aid.
Yeah.
Share some thoughts with us. Why is it important for an institution as part of their emergency preparedness to have fire marshals who are trained, first of all, to shepherd everyone out of the building, and then to have first aiders who will start some process before the St. John's ambulance or the national ambulance comes. Talk to us about that briefly.
Sure, yeah. It's very interesting that you are mentioning this. And what comes to my mind when you mentioned it was the match between Denmark and Finland. And when Ericsson collapsed on the field, there was a first aider on the field. Imagine if there was no first aider on the field. Yeah. Ericsson could have lost his life. And therefore, it is very, very important that we have first aiders in the building. And this is a specialized area, and this is a trained area. And therefore, a selected team of the company must be trained. Okay, in this area, not anybody can do that. Yeah, but people must be trained. A selected team must be trained, and these are the people. And every employee must know that Kweku is one of them, Kojo is one of them. And when there is a disaster, these are the people we listen to. Not
you should know your fire marshals,
not just anybody.
You should know your first aiders.
You should know them, and the FM or the GM, whoever is in charge, must make it a point that from time to time you remind workers of these people, that these are the people you listen to when there's any emergency, and these are the people that will lead the employees safely to the assembly point or whatever is designated, to keep employees safe.
Right, and as you talk about that, something also comes to my mind: the notification process during an emergency. In some places, they talk about the call tree. So when something goes wrong in an organization, and we're deliberately being a bit vague, because the things that could go wrong range from flood to earthquake to a vehicle driving into your shop or your office, to rain, to a bomb, to anything that could go wrong,
anything.
to a hack, to a cyber attack that could completely ground your operations. So could you talk to us about the importance of an emergency call tree, so that if something went wrong, who are the people in organization to be called?
Exactly. So
and how it's implemented in some contexts, so that it can become an example for some of our listeners. We still have a few more minutes on the show. Numbers to call 03022165541. That's 03022165541. You can also send your comments on WhatsApp on 05511119997. We're talking about emergency preparedness and business continuity. What do you do in your own company when things go wrong? What are the plans you have for the day of trouble? There's always a day of trouble. You don't plan it, but it comes. I've got Nick Solomon. Nick says, in the age of smart facilities and cities where millions of devices and assets are connected, how do we prepare for emergencies like cyber attacks? How do we involve the workforce in participating in the information security of facilities? Do we incentivize users of facilities who adhere to security measures like hibernating your computer when you leave your desk? Cyber attacks are a real threat, and as contemporary FMs, we need to delve deep in that area to safeguard our workplaces and our homes. A quick reaction to this one before we go on to the call tree conversation. This is Nick Solomon.
This is Nick Solomon.
Yeah, talking about cyber attacks.
And stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, these are very serious, things in our age now. Yeah. And therefore, it is very important that, simply put, even your own laptop, okay, you are able to install some fire, walls, some fire protection, okay, so that your data is not, hacked, your data is not broken into and stuff. How much more an organization? It's very important to spend money to make sure that your system is it's protected and it's not easily penetrated.
No, and I like that you talk. You talk about the fact that she's protected. There's a lot of that's a whole conversation. When we had this conversation with Kobe Spikey, he talked about hacks and cyber. The world is going somewhere with all of this technology, but along with it is also a bit of vice. And so somebody can. An emergency that could affect your company is that your systems could be hacked and you could be asked to pay some money as ransom, or your data could be stolen. And so, in summary, we'll just say that make sure that you seek help. Find out Dr. Gustav Janssen, Cyber Crime Unit, Ghana Police Service is available to help us with some of these things. What you can do when you get up, lock your screen. Don't share your passwords. Don't use password 1234. Those are simple things to. You don't use your birthday codes. Change your password often. Those are things to that can be copied. Very briefly, let's talk about recoveries.
Okay.
Insurance is one of the ways, by the way, that you can also mitigate your risk. And so therefore, on the area of cyber, apart from all the good things you can do, you can also look at insurance as one way. Best practice, best behavior, and all of that. But let's look at real-time objectives. Real-time objectives, for example, are the time it takes to recover. And I remember at the beginning of your submission, you talked about recovery.
Exactly, yeah.
So ask yourself a question as an FM. If power went off from the grid, and without a plan, emergency, and your generators also failed, and your systems went down, how long would it take for your systems to come back up? It's important to simulate a situation like that. I'm sure that you have seen many of it.
Exactly.
Share some thoughts with us.
Exactly. Some even happened at the Terminal 3. Was it 2 years ago? When there was a lot of rain and there was some flooding into some space of their building. The time how much time do they need to dewater so that their luggage sessions where they are sending luggages into the berths for passengers to how much time do you dewater the space so that you don't damage all these things? It's very, very important. But you see, sometimes you put all these measures in place and you have your timelines and everything, but it can still go wrong again.
No, but you see, it's better to have a plan than not to have
a plan
at all.
At all, exactly.
Because here you talk about the example you gave at Terminal 3. The real-time objective here is what? How long did it take them to bring the service back online?
Exactly.
What were the other services that were affected? If people can't get access to their bags and their bags cannot get on the planes, the aircrafts are delayed. When aircrafts are delayed, what happens to air traffic control? The ripple effect is huge. Let's not even talk about the airlines, but let's talk about our facilities. When systems go down, what are the ripple effects that can happen?
You see, that's what we mentioned about your key or your essential business function. Yeah. What if your key or your essential business function comes to a halt? The repercussions is innumerable. You can't mention them, you can't number them because you will not be able to operate. And if you are not able to operate, you can pay your workers.
You're losing revenue.
You're losing revenue. Your clients are moving to other places, and your company is coming to a halt.
Reputational risk.
It's going to send your clients away, and therefore it's very important that the time space that will recover is very short. Okay, so that we can get back on business and be able to serve our clients
and it's also important because everything we do today is you're competing against someone.
Yes.
So if an emergency knocks you out of business or knocks you out of your trajectory, and it hasn't happened to your neighbor, guess what's happening? I mean, today, even when you're operating, there's very stiff competition. So that when you're not operating and you are down, your stems are down, then clearly
you know what's happened to you.
that also becomes a challenge.
Out of business. Yeah.
Talk to us very briefly about reputational risk. If there isn't proper planning for business continuity, what happened to the reputation of a company, and how does it affect? Because I'm trying to draw the trajectory from an ineffective FM practice, which leads to a downtime that affects the company's reputation.
Exactly. So in the absence of your business continuity, team, and then putting plans in place to be able to recover in time for business to go on, like we said, if let's say you are operating in a shopping mall, for instance, and there is a fire or flood, and you are unable to recover within the shortest possible time, nobody is going to come to your space. Nobody's going, and if it's go on for some time, then there are alternatives. Okay, regardless of what, there are alternatives. There's Accra Mall, there's Junction Mall, there is all the other one, this one at East Legon, what's the name? And therefore, you see your customers, going there, and when they go there, and they because you were there, they were coming to you. They have not tested the other business services, okay? But when they go there and they are able to see that, okay, they can even get better service there, they're not going to come back to you again.
Apart from loss of business also, as you speak, something comes to my mind. There could be suits.
There could be suits as well.
There could be lawsuits, you know, because if something happened in your facility, you are responsible. There's something called public liability. And so as an FM, you're listening to us. If anything happens within your building, on your premises, when external users are present, you have a duty of care.
Oh, yeah.
You have a duty of care.
Yeah. Places like the Scandinavian areas, where we have experience, like in Denmark, okay? Even when it's snowing, okay, and you don't shovel your work area or your parking area, and a customer come in and slips and fall, you have legal issues. You could be sued, and this could affect your reputation so much. People will refuse coming to your space when they know that they come there, you don't shovel your snow, and they are going to fall and hurt themselves. So it's very, very important, that we prepare, and then we make sure that we are able to recover within the shortest possible time.
Right. Now that we've talked about, I know you spoke about the benefits of preparedness, but let's leave our listeners with a bit of a positive mind. What are some of the things that FMs and business owners can do to prepare themselves, even from the basic level to the most sophisticated level? Because businesses are not the same as everything else in life. And so some companies may not be able to afford the firewalls and the big insurance covers and all of that. But what can they do, in their own little way to protect themselves from a situation that will knock them down completely? And so in that case, they are prepared for business continuity, so that if something goes wrong, they're able to continue working. Or come back within the shortest possible time. What are some of the things that they can do?
Okay, so basically, from the emergency preparedness aspect, basically you just need a facilities manager to be in place, okay? And this facilities manager, one of the responsibilities that he has is to educate the workers, the people working for you, okay? And it's important also that you have the business continuity or a team also in place who are trained and who are educated, and basic things like not sharing, like you had mentioned, not sharing your password, shutting down your PC when you are getting away, not allowing strangers to go into your system and things like that must be spelled out, and these things must be communicated with and adhered to by employees. If they don't do this, there must be some consequences. There must be some measures put in place that they adhere to this one, and there should be constant education. There should be constant reminder to these basic things, so that employees will be conscious of doing it, and when there's a crisis, they'll be able to apply and
Right. I just hope that we've been able to share some insights into. It's a big conversation, but I just hope we've been able to share some insights into the reason why, as a business, as an FM, you should be able to prepare your business so that some of the things that could knock you offline will not knock you offline because you're prepared. And even if they did, because the things that are out of your control, you'll be able to come back real quick. Next week, we continue with this conversation. Next week will be our final conversation here on facilities management, and we'll be looking at environmental stewardship and sustainability. Kweku, thankfully, will be back with us here in that conversation. Today's show has been brought to us by Goyle. Goyle, they say good energy, Goyle Yenara, Yedia, and also by First Code Management Services. They say industry, get it right. My name, as always, is Yaw Anim Barnafo. Thank you for listening, and see you same time next week.